Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. John Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Govardhan Puja Ki Jai. Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So we'll read on this most wonderful day. We'll read from two transcendental books. One is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 24. No, excuse me, Chapter 25. We'll just read the summary. Lord Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. And then we could read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, Volume 2, and it will be text 86. So we'll chant text 86. Antya 14, 86. So in the meantime, if everyone wants to get their devices ready, because I'll read the summary first. 14, Antya 1486. So here's the summary. Lord Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. This chapter describes how Lord Indra was overcome by anger when the residents of Vraj cancelled his sacrifice. How he tried to punish them by sending forth a devastating rainfall to Vrindavan. And how Lord Sri Krishna protected Gokul by lifting Govardhan Hill and for 7 days using it as an umbrella to ward off the rain. Indra, angered at the disruption of the sacrifice meant for him and falsely presuming himself the supreme controller, said, "People often give up the pursuit of transcendental knowledge, the means for self-realization, and imagine that they can cross over the ocean of material existence by mundane fruitive sacrifices. Similarly, these cowherd men have become intoxicated by pride and have offended me by taking shelter of an ignorant, ordinary child." Krishna. This is chapter 25, canto 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the summary at the beginning of the chapter 25. To remove this supposed pride of the residents of Vraj, Indra sent the clouds known as Samvartika, whose function is to facilitate the destruction of the world. So it's the destruction of the whole world. He sent them to harass the Vrajvasis with downpours of rain and hail. The cowherd community was very disturbed by this and approached Krishna for shelter. Understanding that this trouble was the work of Indra, Krishna decided to smash to pieces Indra's false prestige, and thus he lifted Govardhan Hill with one hand. He then invited the entire cowherd community to take shelter in the dry space beneath the mountain. For 7 successive days he held up the hill, until Indra finally understood Krishna's mystic power and ordered the clouds to withdraw. When the cowherd villagers emerged from beneath the mountain, Krishna put Govardhan Hill back in its proper place. The cowherds were in ecstasy, showing loving symptoms such as flowing tears and bodily hairs standing on end. They embraced Krishna and offered him benedictions according to their respective positions, while the demigods in heaven rained down flowers and sang the Lord's praises. So I was reading, I'll just say one or two brief things on this. I was reading earlier that in one of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, he was saying that there's a particular point where Krishna was saying, I'm going to break Indra's false pride. I'm going to smash his false pride. And he said and the other demigods, which is interesting because a lot of the times when I think about this pastime, I'm not thinking that other demigods were involved. But in this particular commentary, it said that Vayu was involved, the wind god, and other demigods, which is interesting because I didn't think of Vayu as being involved. Yeah, so he was involved. And also, it was saying that when Krishna put down the hill and all the different personalities came to greet him afterwards, if you're familiar with that the elders came and then the equals and then the juniors. And it said that the elders, of course, right, they smelled, his hair and they kissed him. And also it said, I was reading that it said that they massaged his left arm, because he was holding it up. They massaged his left arm, and it said that they cracked his fingers on his left hand, Yeah, cracked the knuckles. So I thought that was interesting. And then the equals came up and they're laughing and joking with him. I mean, I can imagine what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying, but they're probably just, hey, good job, or, hitting him on the back or something. Good work. And then the juniors, they're offering obeisances like that. So I thought that was interesting, though, especially with the massaging of the left arm. And then that was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary on the 10th canto. Yeah, cracking the fingers. I thought that was nice. So we could read this verse, famous verse. Yeah, CC Antya 14. Text 86. Yeah, this is a verse from the Bhagavatam. So when everybody's ready, I'll chant. Okay. Hantayam adri abala haridasa varyo Yad Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayos Tayoryat Ani Yasuya Vasa Khandara Khandamulaye Hantayam Adri Abala Haridasa Varyo Yad Rama Krishna Charana Sparashat Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahagoganayos Tayoryat Pani Yasuya Vasakhandara Khandamulaye. Okay, please chant. Yad Rama Krishna Charanaspara Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahagoganayustayor Yat. No, that's right. Paniya Suya Vasakandara Kandamula. Okay, so word by word translation. Hanta. Oh. Ayam. This. Adrihi. Hill. Just like we have our Adri Dharna. So Adri is hill, and Dharna means to lift. So one who lifts the hill. Adri Dharna. Name for Krishna. Abalaha. O friends. Haridas Varyaha, the best among the servants of the Lord. Yet, because Rama Krishna Charana, of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Balaram, Sparsha, by the touch, Pramodaha, jubilant, Manam, respects, Tanoti, offers, Saha, with, Go Gano Yoho, cows, calves, and the cowherd boys, to Yoho, to them, Shri Krishna and Balaram. Yet, because, Paniya, drinking water, Suya Vasa, very soft grass, Kandara, caves, Kandamulai, and by roots. So this is translation. Lord Chaitanya said, of all the devotees, this Govardhan hill is the best. O my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram as well as their calves, cows, and cowherd friends with all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, spring water. Maybe you want to go back to Godhead because there'll be spring water there, huh? Very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables, all organic. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan hill appears very jubilant. Purport. This is a quotation from srimadbhagavatam 10:21-18. It was spoken by the gopis when Lord Krishna and Balaram entered the forest in the autumn. The gopis spoke among themselves and glorified Krishna and Balaram for their pastimes. Oh, I need to. Okay. All right. So that's okay. So that was the verse. Now I'll continue reading. So what's happening here is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's in Jagannath Puri and he's seeing a sand dune, and he's running towards that sand dune because he's thinking it's Govardhan Hill. In that sand dune, actually, there's a Gaudiya Mat that was built there, temple, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually stayed there. I mean, that's what it said, that there's an ashram built there and those sand dunes are by Tota Gopinath temple. So I'll read the next verse. Reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ran toward the sand dune as fast as the wind. Govinda ran after him, but he could not approach him. First, one devotee shouted loudly, and then a tumultuous uproar arose as all the devotees stood up and began to run after the Lord. Srup Damodar Goswami, Jagadananda Pandit, Gadadhar Pandit, Ramai, Nandai, I don't remember reading about Nandai, and Shankar Pandit are some of the devotees who ran after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati also went toward the beach, and Bhagavan Acharya, who was lame, followed them very slowly. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running with the speed of the wind, but he suddenly became stunned in ecstasy and lost all strength to proceed further. The flesh had... So this is some very high levels here, what's being described. The flesh at each of his pores erupted like pimples, and his bodily hairs, standing on end, appeared like kadamba flowers. Blood and perspiration flowed incessantly from every pore of his body. and he could not speak a word, but simply produced a gargling sound with his throat. So these are some unique transformations of ecstatic love. Krishna. The Lord's eyes filled and overflowed with unlimited tears, like the Ganges and Yamuna meeting the sea. His entire body faded to the color of a white conch shell, and then he began to quiver like the waves in the ocean. While quivered in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down on the ground. Then Govinda approached him. Govinda sprinkled water from a Karanga water pot all over the Lord's body, and then, taking his own outer garment, he began to fan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Swarup Damodar and other devotees reached the spot and saw the condition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they began to cry. All 8 kinds of transcendental transformations were visible in the Lord's body. All the devotees were struck with wonder to see such a sight. Purport. The 8 ecstatic symptoms are the state of being stunned, perspiration, standing of the bodily hairs on end, faltering of the voice, trembling, fading of the body's color, tears, and devastation. This is text 100. The devotees loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and washed his body with cold water. After the devotees had been chanting for a long time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly stood up and shouted, Close. What did devotees shout in kirtan sometimes? Haribol, yeah. Haribol. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up, all the Vaishnavas loudly chanted, Hari, Hari, in great jubilation. The auspicious sound filled the air in all directions. Astonished, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and began looking here and there, trying to see something, but he could not catch sight of it. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Vaishnavas, he returned to partial external consciousness and spoke to Swarup Damodar. So he stood up, Mahaprabhu, and he was looking around. He was looking for something. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Who has brought me here from Govardhan Hill? I was seeing Lord Krishna's pastimes, but now I cannot see them. Today I went from here to Govardhan Hill to find out if Krishna was tending his cows there. I saw Lord Krishna climbing Govardhan Hill and playing his flute, surrounded on all sides by grazing cows. So this is in his, ecstatic meditation, whatever you want to call it. He was seeing all this. Lord Chaitanya, he was seeing Krishna Govardhan Hill. Hearing the vibration of Krishna's flute, Srimati Radharani and all her gopi friends came there to meet him. They were all very nicely dressed. When Krishna and Srimati Radharani entered a cave together, the other gopis asked me to pick some flowers. Just then, all of you made a tumultuous sound and carried me from there to this place. Confirmation. Why have you brought me here, causing me unnecessary pain? I had a chance to see Krishna's pastimes, but I could not see them. Saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to weep. When all the Vaishnavas saw the Lord's condition, they also wept. At that time, Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati arrived. Seeing them, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became somewhat respectful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to complete external consciousness and merely offered prayers to them. Then these 2 elderly gentlemen both embraced the Lord with loving affection. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Puri Goswami and Brahmananda Bharati, Why have the 2 of you come so far? Puri Goswami replied, Just to see her dancing. When he heard this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt somewhat ashamed. Then he went to bathe in the sea with all the Vaishnavas. So when you go to Puri, you could still go to that sea and bathe. After bathing in the sea, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence with all the devotees. Then they all lunched on the remnants of food offered to Lord Jagannath. So, Om Jnanativadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karidvachalam Pangam Nangai Tegirim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Diritarinam Vancha Kaptirbishcha Kripa Sindhibevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So you can see that within all of our Vaishnav literature, we could see that the highest place, according to our Gaudiya Vaishnav theology, is Govardhan Hill. And why? Because one reason, there's so many reasons, but Krishna has so many pastimes there. And also Radhakund's there. We see Radhakund's there. Nectar of instruction, right? There's that instruction. Go to Radhakund. First become a Swami, though. And throughout the scripture, it explains why. One of the reasons, it explains the glories of Govardhan Hill himself. Which, interesting enough, is that Govardhan Hill is in some places referred to as the best devotee of Lord Hari, and in some places referred to Krishna himself. Whereas we see, of course, that's the same case with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? He's Krishna coming as the mood of a devotee to teach us. So, in the first verse we read, it describes how Govardhan Hill serves Krishna and Balarama and all the devotees. What is it? Yeah, the best of all the devotees, this Govardhan Hill is the best. Oh, my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, as well as their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, with all kinds of necessities: water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan appears very jubilant. So, Govardhan Hill serves Krishna and Balaram, but he also serves the devotees. He serves the cowherd boys, the gopis. So this we could learn from Govardhan Hill, is that we just don't serve Krishna, we serve the devotees. And for somebody who just wants to serve Krishna, not the devotees, that means one thing: that they are not advanced, that they are a neophyte, that they have lack of understanding. So Govardhan Hill is the best devotee, so the most advanced. So if we want to be advanced, we want to be good devotees, then we should serve the devotees, not just Krishna. That's what we learned from Govardhan Hill. Oh man, that's really loud. So, and Govardhan Hill serves by drinking water. By offering water, soft grass, caves, fruits. So it says that when when it's too hot, the cave is there. Krishna and Balaram and his friends could go in there, or Krishna and the gopis could go in there. And when it's too cold, apparently you go in a cave and it warms up, so you could go there too. Yeah, the bulbs, the roots, the fruits, it's all there. And all the pigments, right, to decorate the face, like that. Maybe they do some type of henna thing on each other's faces, bodies. And it says that Govardhan is very jubilant when it's touched by Krishna and Balaram, their feet. And it says that Govardhan becomes soft like butter. So Krishna is there, and this way it gives pleasure to Krishna's feet. He's walking, it's like butter, soft butter. So, and it's jubilant. It's, Krishna, or Govardhan Hill is jubilant. Not that, oh, I have to do all this service, and oh man, this is depressing, and I want to do something else. He's very jubilant. So, similarly, when we're serving devotees and Krishna, we should be very jubilant. And not thinking, I'm this, I'm that, and what about me? We should be selfless, jubilant. So we can learn a lot from Govardhan Hill. Now, in terms of Indra, he was proud. He was puffed up. He was proud. Pride got the best of him. And we see that on the heavenly planets that happens, and on this planet that happens quite regularly. People let pride get the best of them. There was one boy here. in the ashram, and this was some years ago. And he was nice. He was a nice guy and friendly and all that. And what happened is he was actually wanting to take initiation from His Holiness Giraj Swami. And they were both probably emailing, going back and forth, and at least talking when they saw each other in person. So, yeah. And, he had some funny ideas. Sometimes you read Bhagavad Gita, it says you should tolerate the heat and cold, You shouldn't be disturbed. So his idea is that he would go up to the ashram bathroom and he would turn on the hot water. That big sink at the far right there. He'd turn on the hot water like full blast, and that's very powerful water coming out. And it'd become very hot, because if you turn on full blast hot, and it becomes super hot. So what he would do is he would put his hands there, and he would let the water flow over his hands, the hot water, extremely hot water, and then until the hands would get red. And I saw him doing that one time. And I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He said, "Oh, I'm trying to, become transcendental to heat, so I'm letting the water flow over my hands like that, It's like, okay. And his hands were all red. It's crazy, huh? Don't do that, Zach. Why are you taking such a hot shower? Oh, I'm trying to become transcendental to the heat, So, and then at one point, people, a lot of times people don't like being corrected or trained or something like that. So there was one devotee, senior to him, and he probably, corrected him and, gave him a hard time about something. And, your falsity kind of flares up. And so what happened is this young boy, this bhakta, he thought, okay, now I'm going to chastise this devotee, So he did that. I don't know what he said. He said this, and said so many things, chastising this, senior person to him. Actually quite senior, like been in the movement for quite some time. And means like more than a decade, 15, 20 years. So then, but then interesting enough is not only did he do that, but he went around the ashram and he started bragging about it. Tell the devotees, oh yeah, I really gave him the sauce, and I really chastised him, and I really taught him a lesson. I was like, oh wow, this is quite interesting, because anyways, so he didn't feel ashamed about it. So then, sometime later, I was in person with my spiritual master, His Holiness Giraj Swami, and I was there, and he asked about him. He said, "So how is so and so?" And then I said, "Oh, there's some problem at the ashram, and he in his words, he chastised so and so, and he was bragging about it like that." And then my spiritual master just made this like face of just absolute disappointment and disgust, and he didn't say anything about it. And then that was it. That was the last time my guru asked about him. And then shortly after that, devotee left the ashram, and yeah, I thought that was interesting though, because they had some connection. He wanted to get initiated by him, but that was the last time he asked about him. He never asked me ever again about him. And he left the ashram, and then, sometimes we would go out on Harinam downtown, and you have to, call of nature or something, you have to use the restroom facility, so you go into a restaurant or hotel or something, So we would go down there, and there's this job, it's a very prestigious job, What the guy does, or what these guys do is they're in the restroom, in the bathroom, the toilet room, and they're there in front of the mirrors, and they have a whole bunch of paraphernalia. They have, packs of gum and cigarettes and different things. So and then people they stand in there because all the partiers are going to use the bathroom, and they sell stuff to these people. It's a horrible job. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely horrible. To sit there and that, people are using the toilet, and that's just terrible. I'd rather almost die than, have to be... Actually, I'd rather die than do that. So this bhakta, this bhakta who knew what he was talking about, he got a job doing that, And he thought, and he was bragging about that too. He said, "Oh, I got this really good job. I just, I sit in the bathroom when these guys come. I sell them stuff, and it's horrible. It's." So, you could see how Maya, covers people and then just, throws them down, and they think, "Oh, it's so great," and all to the pride. So that's an example of pride getting the best of somebody, and that's what this is in a even more extreme degree. You could say Indra. I mean, he wanted to completely annihilate Krishna, and also all of his devotees, the cows, the calves, the cowherd boys, the gopis. I mean, can you imagine how big of an offense that is? So, so that's what he wanted to do. And interesting enough is that Krishna actually he forgave him. Krishna forgave him. I mean, it's absolutely amazing that Krishna forgave Indra for doing such a horrible thing. I mean, we have a hard time forgiving people when, they say something, bad to us. But I mean, Krishna forgave Indra for attempting to kill all of his devotees and himself. That's amazing. So therefore, we worship Krishna because he's so merciful. He's an ocean of mercy. And the thing about an ocean is that you cannot measure the content of the ocean. That's an interesting thing. So the mercy that's found within Krishna we can't measure. But still, even though he's an ocean of mercy, we have to be careful. Not that, oh, hey, well, Krishna forgave Indra, so now this is my, here it is. This is my time to shine. This is my time I'll be as offensive as I want to all the devotees, and Krishna forgive me. I mean, he forgave Indra, right? I'm not going to try to kill any of the devotees. I'll just, give him a hard time or whatever, fault find with. So yes, we should understand how Krishna is an ocean of mercy, but we should also not take advantage, and similarly with the spiritual master and other Vaishnavas. So Govardhan Hill is the best devotee of Lord Hari. So we could learn a lot from him. And also we could learn a lot from the Vrajvasis, them taking shelter of Krishna. So when the rain came, they called out to Krishna. They weren't calling out to their mother, or they weren't calling out to the President of the United States, or, of course, there was no President of the United States then, but the President of, I don't know, Bharat Varsha or something. They're crying out to Krishna. Why? Because that is their first instinct, Krishna. Their first instinct is not something else, it's Krishna, their first thought. So we will be tested, our pride, our ability to tolerate offenses or criticisms towards ourselves. Like Indra was slighted, right? Krishna said, cancel his sacrifice. So we'll be also tested within our lives in different ways. In other words, our humility, our tolerance will be tested. And we should try to learn how to not be overcome by pride like Indra. We should be able to tolerate. Therefore, Goswami, you should learn how to tolerate, not be disturbed. And similarly, when these difficulties come, we'll also be tested. Are we going to resort to, going to the local bar and restaurant to, take shelter of the local bar? Like they actually have a saying. It says, I was talking with somebody some time ago, and she was saying that she goes to the bar quite regularly. She was at the lounge or in book distribution or something. I was talking. And she said she goes to the bar quite regularly, and there's this term. Maybe you're familiar with it. It's called a bar family. So you have your bar family. So, we have our spiritual family, and then people have their bar family, because they spend so much time there like a family. So are we going to take shelter of the local bars or money or whatever, women or this or that? What are we going to take shelter of? So we have to take shelter, just like the Vrajvasis. When the difficulty came, they take shelter of Krishna. So we can learn that from them, how to take shelter of Krishna. All right, so there's a few minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments about Govardhan Hill or Govardhan Puja or anything Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavatam, or comments? Yes. Can you pass it, Zach? You be a good boy.
How do we understand Krishna excusing Indra for such a
heinous offense?
heinous offense, but then other devotees, they get covered over because, they get in an argument with the devotee or something?
Yeah.
Maybe not so.
So how can, so, I mean, Indra, he does perform he's in charge of heaven, whatever that entails. I don't know the details of that service, but apparently it's an important service and needs to be done. So, and a qualified person does it, such as Indra. So that's an interesting point, because Krishna could have just, covered him out, kicked him out, and said, "Hey, man, get lost. You're a offender. You're a loser. You tried to kill all my devotees and me, and just hit the road. Your service I'm taking your service away for good. And by the way, you're going to go to hell too." Krishna could have done that. Right? He could do whatever he wants. But it's very interesting that Krishna just said, "All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to smash his pride. I'm going to smash his false ego. And then he's going to become humbled," because Krishna knew, right? He's going to become humble and ask for forgiveness and repentance and all that. And I'm going to allow him to serve still. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, if you think about it. I mean, he was literally attempting to kill. It wasn't just he was going to, beat up the Vrajvasis or something, or, whatever. I mean, he was going to try to kill them. So somehow or other, Krishna, he gave him a service. He can let him continue with his service. Same with Putana. I mean, Putana, she was a baby killer. I mean, that's one of the worst things. Yeah, the worst thing you could do. Go around and kill babies. That's just horrible. Yeah. So then she came to try to kill Krishna too. I mean, she tried to kill Krishna. She wasn't doing anything else. She was specifically going there to kill him. So then Krishna, he said, "Okay, well, she's trying to kill me, but I guess she's also offering me her, milk. So I'll just accept the service. I'll accept the good part." And then he sent her back to Godhead. She became a nurse, right, in the spiritual world. So therefore, that verse in the Bhagavatam, how can I worship anyone else? Krishna is so merciful, right? Where is there any more merciful personality? So this is the beauty of the unique feature of Krishna, that he's so merciful. I mean, in a lot of people's conceptions of God, I mean, baby killer, that means hell forever. And if you're going to go kill God or something, yeah, you should go to hell. And same with Indra. I mean, I'm sure some people's conception, he'd be damned forever. So of course, again, we shouldn't take advantage of that. That okay, I'm a devotee, so if I just do any nonsense, and Krishna's going to forgive me. But apparently, Krishna, he gives many chances. And the thing is, when you're asking specifically about some other devotees are covered and they fall into Maya and all that, and they forget Krishna. But it says in the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni says that once one takes to devotional service and has relished the nectar of the lotus feet of Krishna, even if one falls away, they're not to be considered an ordinary conditioned soul. And also, those souls who fall away, in the back of their mind, they're always thinking of the nectar of Krishna consciousness. They're always thinking subconsciously, or however that works, that wow, that was really ecstatic, that Krishna consciousness. And they can never really forget Krishna on one level. So in other words, Krishna remembers them, and in the future, even if they're fallen, even et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you could be the most fallen in so many horrible ways that in the future they're given some opportunity again to come in contact with devotional service. Okay. They come in contact with the devotional service, so that's the... All right, Govardhan Puja ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai.